Sure, here's a 5,000-word YouTube video script for your Kindness Stories channel. It includes a natural intro to your channel and tells a compelling, emotional story without heading or any bracketed phrases. The story focuses on kindness, consequences, and redemption true to the channel's theme. Welcome to Kindness Stories, where the smallest moments of compassion leave the deepest impact. If you believe in the power of empathy, understanding, and kindness to change lives, you're in the right place. Stay with us till the end for a story that starts with cruelty but ends in redemption. A journey of understanding that will stay with you long after the video ends. It was the first day of the new academic year at Ridgefield High School, a place where students were more concerned with popularity and power than kindness. This year, the first class on the schedule was homeroom, where students gathered for attendance and morning announcements. Usually, a teacher would stand at the front of the classroom, read the roll call, and pass on the day's news with an air of detachment. But today it was different. A new teacher was scheduled to take over the homeroom period. Nobody knew his name. There had been whispers about a last-minute hire. Rumors flew fast. Some said he was too young to handle a class. Others claimed he was a pushover. All these assumptions planted one dangerous idea into the minds of a particular group of students. This new guy could be their next victim. At the center of that group was Jason. Tall, confident, and popular, Jason wasn't just a student. He was the unspoken leader of a crew that believed in dominance. His friends Trent, Cole, and Max followed his every cue. If Jason smirked, they laughed. If he bullied someone, they cheered him on. To them, control over the classroom meant control over the school. At precisely 8:01 a.m., the classroom door creaked open. Silence fell over the room. Every student turned to look. A young man stepped in, probably in his mid-20s. He wore a plain shirt, sleeves rolled just above the elbows, and carried a small notebook in his hand. No briefcase, no imposing stare, just a calm expression and warm eyes. Some students whispered, others chuckled. Jason leaned over and said to Max loud enough for a few others to hear, "This is gonna be fun." The teacher smiled gently and introduced himself. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Mr. Bennett. I'll be your homeroom teacher this year." His voice was calm, without the usual stiffness teachers used to establish authority. It wasn't harsh, but it wasn't weak either. Some students were intrigued. Others sensed what Jason sensed. This man was kind, and in their world, kindness meant weakness. Mr. Bennett began reading the roll call, his eyes moving down the list. As he called names, students responded with bored yeses or lazy hand raises. When he reached Jason, he received silence. Mr. Bennett looked up. Jason was staring back with a smirk. "Jason Matthews?" Mr. Bennett repeated. Jason raised one eyebrow, shrugged, and finally muttered, "Here." Mr. Bennett nodded and continued, not reacting to the disrespect. But Jason didn't like that. He wanted attention. He wanted Mr. Bennett to flinch, to struggle, to lose his cool. He wanted a reaction. As soon as the roll call ended and announcements began, Jason leaned back and kicked his foot onto the empty chair in front of him. Mr. Bennett paused and glanced up briefly, then continued reading. That only encouraged Jason. In a sudden move, Jason stood up and approached the whiteboard. Mr. Bennett watched him silently. Jason picked up a marker and scribbled "Welcome to Ridgefield Jungle" above Mr. Bennett's neatly written name. A few students laughed. A few looked away uncomfortably. Mr. Bennett read the announcement without acknowledging the graffiti. Jason wasn't satisfied. He needed more. In one swift motion, Jason reached for Mr. Bennett's shoulder and yanked the fabric of his shirt. There was a loud rip. The class gasped. Mr. Bennett staggered slightly as the left side of his shirt tore near the seam. He looked down at it. Everyone waited. Someone whispered, "He's gonna flip." But Mr. Bennett didn't flip. He stood still for a moment, looked Jason in the eyes, and said softly, "Are you done?" Jason blinked. The class fell into dead silence. That wasn't the reaction he expected. Bennett slowly took off the damaged shirt, revealing a white undershirt underneath. But it wasn't his calmness that stunned the students. It was what they saw next. His arms, both of them, were covered in long, discolored scars. Some faded, some newer. These weren't scratches. These were the kind of marks that told stories of pain, of survival, of something none of them could begin to imagine. No one spoke. No one moved. Jason's confidence cracked for the first time. Bennett didn't say a word about the scars. He simply folded his shirt, placed it on the desk, and finished reading the last announcement. After class, Most students slipped out quietly, but Jason stayed frozen in his seat. Bennett walked over to him. "If you're staying behind to apologize, now would be a good time," he said gently. Jason, for the first time, didn't know what to say. He muttered, "What happened to your arms?" Mr. Bennett looked at him carefully. "I used to work with children in war zones. I taught kids in Syria and Yemen. There was an explosion at a school I was working in. I tried to get as many of them out as I could." Jason's eyes widened. "I was lucky," Mr. Bennett said softly. "Some of the kids didn't make it." Jason looked down, the full weight of what he'd done hitting him. He had tried to humiliate a man who had risked his life to save children. He had mocked someone who had seen more pain than Jason could ever imagine. "I didn't know," Jason mumbled. "I know you didn't," Mr. Bennett replied. "But maybe now you do, and maybe that'll help you become the kind of person this world actually needs." Jason nodded, ashamed. Over the next few weeks, things began to shift. Mr. Bennett never brought up the incident again. He didn't report Jason. He didn't treat him differently in class, but he did treat everyone with the same quiet strength and compassion that had stunned them that first day. Jason began to change, slowly, subtly. He stopped making jokes at others' expense. He started arriving early to class, sometimes even helping Mr. Bennett set up. One day, he asked if he could stay after the talk. "I used to think kindness was weak," he admitted. "I know," Mr. Bennett replied with a smile. "Most people do, until they see what it costs." Jason began tutoring younger students after school. He joined a peer mentoring program. The same classmates who once laughed at his antics now looked to him as an example. And it wasn't fake, it was real, because something inside him had shifted. Kindness was no longer a target, it was a choice. Years later, Jason stood in front of a crowd at his university graduation. He was the valedictorian. In his speech, he talked about leadership, about choices, about growth. And then, he paused. There was a teacher, he said, who changed everything for me, not by yelling, not by punishing, but by showing me that real strength lies in what you endure, not what you destroy. The crowd applauded. Somewhere in the back row, Mr. Bennett smiled quietly, his arms folded, his scars still visible, but no longer something to hide. They were a reminder, a symbol of survival, and perhaps more importantly, of the healing power of kindness. Jason's story is not unique because it involves scars or war zones. It's powerful because it shows how a single act of quiet courage can ripple outward and change everything. Mr. Bennett didn't defend himself with fists or fury. He defended himself with dignity, and in doing so, he gave a young man a second chance, not just at respect, but at becoming someone better. That is the kind of story we believe in here at Kindness Stories. If it moved you, share it. If it reminded you of someone in your life who made a difference, tell them. And if you want more stories that reveal the beauty of human compassion, stay with us. Because sometimes, the greatest power doesn't come from being the loudest in the room, it comes from being the kindest. Thank you for watching. Until next time, keep choosing kindness.